On a warm, early summer afternoon in Seoul, with the breeze gently softening the midday heat, the Yongsan district moved at its usual pace, office workers stepping out for lunch, children tugging at their parents toward nearby ice cream stalls, and the faint jingle of shop bells ringing each time a customer walked in or out. Nothing about that day seemed remarkable at first glance, until a photo quietly began circulating online showing Suga of BTS standing alone inside a locally beloved toy store. The image, grainy yet unmistakable, captured him dressed in a muted gray hoodie, a black bucket hat pulled low, and a standard medical mask. His posture calm, his attention entirely focused on a shelf stacked with colorful robot kits and intricate model cars. The person who shared it wasn't a paparazzi or influencer, just a regular customer who happened to recognize the star and quickly snapped a discreet photo. There was no entourage in sight, no crew filming content, no brand signage or marketing hint. Just Suga in a quiet moment surrounded by childhood nostalgia. That one candid shot prompted a swift ripple through online communities, not as a scandal or public curiosity, but as a surprisingly touching and relatable moment. Speculations bloomed, but instead of turning cynical or wild, they remained warm and grounded. Was he buying a gift for a nephew? Fans recalled past interviews where he fondly mentioned the children in his family. One forum comment captured the general sentiment. If it's not for a nephew, maybe he's looking for inspiration for kids' music? BTS Kids Project. Anyone? The suggestion was met with collective amusement, highlighting how this simple sighting had transformed into an unexpected wellspring of joy for fans. Unlike typical celebrity sightings which often provoke debates over privacy or image crafting, this one felt organic, refreshing even. There was no performance, no announcement, no curated narrative. Just a global pop icon who, for a moment, appeared utterly human, standing still in the middle of a toy store aisle, perhaps searching for the right gift, or maybe just enjoying the quiet simplicity of the place. As the photo circulated, amateur sleuths began piecing together what he might have bought, matching timestamps, store layouts, and visible packaging. Some claimed he left carrying a DIY robot kit popular among 10 to 12-year-olds. Though no confirmation came from HYB or Suga himself, that absence of official context only added to the charm. Soon, the store itself experienced a modest pilgrimage of fans who visited not to disrupt, but simply to stand where Suga stood. The owner, later posting on their personal blog, expressed both surprise and gratitude. Turns out that quiet customer yesterday was Suga. He was respectful, quiet, and focused. They declined to share purchase details, citing respect for privacy, but noted how his demeanor left a lasting impression. This incident, though small, unfolded with an elegance rare in celebrity culture, marked not by grandiosity, but by subtlety. It wasn't a media event or a calculated gesture, and precisely because of that, it resonated more deeply. In the larger cultural narrative, it showcased how some of the most profound public moments can come from unplanned, unspoken gestures. What followed was not the typical media frenzy, but a gentle wave of appreciation across social platforms and lifestyle columns. Commentary from cultural writers described it as a minor yet meaningful deviation from celebrity spectacle. One pop culture analyst noted, "Moments like these solidify an artist's public image far more than any campaign. Authentic glimpses into their everyday choices humanize them." Unlike the polarizing reactions that often follow celebrity behavior, Suga's toy store moment was met with a unified warmth. Fans and casual observers alike shared their own stories of brief encounters with public figures, emphasizing how such brief, grounded moments linger in memory far longer than concert performances or red carpet appearances. One viral post read, "He didn't do anything but pick out a toy, but somehow that felt incredibly moving." This moment also highlighted an emerging shift in how celebrities navigate public life. Rather than curating everything for mass consumption, there's a growing preference for understated presence, living life without constant mediation. Suga's quiet outing wasn't part of a branded series or an influencer collaboration. It was simply real, and in that authenticity, it drew respect. Even in marketing circles, some speculated on whether this understated appearance might tie into a future project, perhaps a collaboration on educational products or children's content, or even a philanthropic initiative, but these musings remained speculative, floated more out of admiration than expectation. Whether or not such plans exist is ultimately irrelevant to the impact of the moment itself, which rests not on outcomes but on tone. Suga's choice to step into that shop, make his purchase, and exit without fanfare offered a brief, unfiltered window into his world. And in doing so, it reminded audiences of the beauty in ordinary acts. No press release was issued, no follow-up post shared. Still, the moment endured, etched not in headlines but in collective affection. This wasn't a story about what he bought, but what that act represented, a bridge between public persona and private humanity. In an age of overexposure and media fatigue, such small, genuine gestures may well be the new gold standard for public engagement. Rather than fade quickly like so many fleeting viral moments, the image of Suga in that quiet corner of the toy store seemed to gain a sort of quiet permanence, slowly embedding itself into the collective memory of a fandom already deeply attuned to nuance and detail. In the days that followed, conversations about the sighting evolved from immediate curiosity to more reflective observations, not only about Suga himself but about the nature of celebrity visibility in the modern age. Lifestyle editors picked up on the story with a tone of elegant restraint, analyzing not the specifics of the toy he might have purchased but the understated message conveyed through his actions. There is something both radical and reassuring about a world-famous musician who chooses to spend his afternoon browsing toys alone, wrote one columnist, who went on to suggest that such an act subtly pushes back against the overwhelming expectation that public figures must constantly perform their fame. The conversation wasn't so much about the novelty of seeing a celebrity do something mundane, but more about how certain public figures, especially those with global influence, carry the ability to turn even the most ordinary act into something quietly profound. For Suga, whose image has long been associated with introspection, intellect, and a deep sense of self-containment, the toy store moment felt like a continuation of that narrative rather than a deviation. It was, in a sense, perfectly aligned with how fans have come to understand him. Someone who values sincerity over spectacle, someone whose influence emerges not through volume but through depth. It also sparked a more abstract but nonetheless resonant line of thought among cultural observers. Could this moment indicate a shift in how the younger generation of idols are reclaiming their space as individuals outside of constructed media frameworks? For years, artists in K-pop and other global industries have been entangled in tightly managed public images. But as they mature and gain more control over their personal narratives, moments like these seem to offer small but significant glimpses of autonomy. The notion that Suga could choose to step into a toy store unaccompanied, with no press in tow, and be recognized not for what he was selling but for who he quietly is, holds power. Fans from outside Korea chimed in as well, with discussions appearing in comment sections of international publications and online forums. Many expressed admiration for how gracefully Suga handled the situation. No reaction to the photo, no defensive statements, no attempt to control the narrative. It was as if he trusted the public to interpret the moment for what it was, without manipulation or drama. This, in turn, reflected back on his fanbase, who by and large responded in kind. Instead of creating noise, they created space. For observation, for appreciation, and for a certain type of emotional proximity that doesn't require access or visibility. In more ways than one, the story revealed how much the dynamics of fame have changed in the digital age. Not in the sense of virality or reach, which are well-worn territories, but in the way audiences increasingly value quiet authenticity over engineered engagement. Even those who are not followers of BTS found themselves commenting on how refreshing it was to witness a celebrity encounter that didn't devolve into either hysteria or scandal. Analysts in entertainment studies also pointed to the psychological implications of such sightings, noting that public figures like Suga, who are perceived as emotionally accessible, tend to build longer-lasting relationships with their audience, not because they offer more of themselves, but because they offer just enough, always on their terms. As for the toy store itself, it saw a temporary rise in foot traffic, not so much because people wanted to trace Suga's exact steps, but because they were drawn to the idea of visiting a space that had, even briefly, intersected with something larger. The owner eventually gave a short interview to a lifestyle blog, describing Suga as exceptionally polite and clearly thoughtful about his choices, adding that there was a moment where he seemed to smile slightly before heading to the register, a detail that fans, of course, latched onto with affection.